Hey there, class. Mr. Pusky here. Hope you're having a good day so far. We're continuing with Chapter 1 in Advanced Math Topics. Chapter 1 is a review of Algebra 1 foundational skills, and so we're kind of reviewing some basics to kind of build up to some topics that might be a little bit more challenging, okay? So 1.3 is fractions. Our essential question is how do we simplify, manipulate, and use operations with fractions? And so yeah, so we have a warm-up here. Why don't you guys go ahead and see if you can do the warm-up. 1 and 2, they want you to simplify the fractions, and then 3 and 4, they want you to evaluate them or just kind of solve them, I guess, okay? Why don't you guys give them a try, see how you do. All right, so with these, so we're actually going to, we're going to go ahead and we're going to try to find the biggest number that goes into both these numbers here to simplify fractions, and then we're going to kind of divide by them to cancel them out, okay? So what's the biggest number that goes into 18 and 12? I think it's 6. That's called the greatest common factor, okay? So the greatest common factor is going to be 6. Oops. So we're going to divide 18 by 6 and we get 3. We're going to divide 12 by 6 and we get 2. So our answer should be 3 over 2. And then down below in the lesson, we'll go over it in more detail. This was kind of confusing where these numbers came from, but yeah, that's the gist of it, okay? How about number 2? What's the biggest number that goes into 4 and 24? It's going to be 4. So 4 goes into 4 one time. 4 goes into 24 6 times. So is it going to be 6 over 1 or 1 over 6? It's going to be 1 over 6. And I put this one on here on purpose. Make sure that you are careful about what cancels and goes where. It's not 24 over 4, which would equal 6 over 1. This is actually 1 over 6. Okay, it's not this. All right. All right, how about 3 and 4? So looks like we're multiplying fractions in number 3 and we're adding fractions in number 4. So how do we multiply fractions? Well, we're going to multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom. So 2 times 6 is going to be 12. 3 times 7 is going to be 21. And then we also want to try to reduce if we're able to. So what number goes into 12 and 21 nicely? It's going to be 3. 3 goes into 12 how many times? 4. 3 goes into 21 how many times? 7. So we get 4 over 7. Okay. So we'll do that for now, and then later I can show you a way to make it a little bit easier on yourselves instead of just multiplying across every time. Okay. Number 4. We'll come back to that later. Number 4, we got 3 over 2 plus 1/4. Well, we need to be able to add or subtract fractions. Well, we need a common denominator here. What's a common denominator? Do we have a common denominator? We don't. We got 2 and 4. So what would the common denominator between 2 and 4 be? It's going to be the smallest number that divides by both of these. It's called the least common denominator or least common multiple. So actually, it's going to be 4. We're going to multiply both sides. Actually, this side just by 2 to get 4, right? You sometimes have to, you can multiply both sides or just one side to get the right answer here. So 2 times 3 is going to be what? 6 over 4. And then 1 over 4 is going to stay the same because it's already 4. And what's 6 plus 1? 7. So we get 7 over 4. Okay, now we're going to talk about converting fractions. We don't use mixed numbers anymore, which is something like 4 and 1/3. We actually keep it as an improper fraction, which is kind of like, I guess, 9 over 5 would be an improper fraction, bigger number on top, okay? The reason why is they're more useful in math. You basically have to convert things that are mixed numbers to improper fractions to use them anyway, and so why not just always keep them like that, you know what I mean? So you may have learned that in middle school, but we'll try to avoid that from now on, okay? So how do we convert to improper fractions? Why don't you guys see if you can fill in these blanks here? And maybe you can try number 1 down here if you want to see if you can figure it out, okay? Give it a try. All right, so the way we convert a number to an improper fraction is we're going to multiply the big number in the denominator, and we're going to add the numerator, okay? Oops. And we're going to keep the denominator the same, okay? So if you want to try number 1 again, if that kind of makes sense, otherwise we'll go through it right now, okay? So we have 5 and 1, 6. What we're going to do is we're going to multiply 5 times 6, which equals what? 30. Then we're going to take that 30 and we're going to add the top one here. What's 30 plus 1 going to be? 31. So then we basically have 31 over, we keep the denominator the same, which is going to be 6. And there we go. Why don't you guys go ahead and try 2 and 3 now that we've gone through one, see if you can figure them out. All right, number 2, we have 8 3/4. So we're going to do 8 times 4, which equals 32. We're going to take that 32. We're going to add the top, the numerator, 32 plus 3, which equals 35. So we get for our answer, we get 35 over 4. Nice. How about number 3? Pause again if you also want to try this one. Now we got 3 times 7 is going to be 21 plus 5. 21 plus 5 is 26. So our answer is going to be 26 over 7. And there we go. All right, let's go back to simplifying fractions. We're going to talk about this in the warm-up here, just kind of narrow this down. Okay, so what we're looking for is what's called the, why don't you guys actually try number 1 here, see if you can figure out like how to explain it, write down an explanation, and then we'll go through it together, okay? So, yeah, so an explanation here. I'm going to write an explanation and see what you guys think. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the biggest number that goes into both numbers. Or the, what is that called? You know what that's called? It's called the greatest common factor. Greatest. A factor is something that goes into something. And the greatest common factor is the biggest thing that they have in common, right? It's also called the GCF, okay? And then we're going to divide both numbers by the GCF, okay? So now we know that. Why don't you guys see if you can figure this out here, and we'll go through it in a second. All right, so what are the factors of 16? Let's try this over here. So things that go into 16, we got 1. I'm going to put 16. We got 1. What else goes into 16? Is 2 going to 16? Yep, we got 2. How about 3? No. How about 4? Yep. 5, no. 6, no. 7, no. 2 times 8 is 16. And also we got 16 here. Okay, how about 28? We got 1. It's an even number, so 2 works. 3 doesn't. We got 4. We also got 7. Not 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 2 times 14 is going to be 28. And we got 1 times 28. I like to pair these up kind of like this. So we can kind of see like what matches here, okay? And so what's the biggest number that divides into both of them? Well, you can see it's going to be 4, right? And so kind of a way to make a kind of a trick for this is to like start with the smaller number here and just divide this number by all these numbers working this way, right? So you do 28 divided by 16, right? And that doesn't work. And then you find the biggest number that goes into both. 28 divided by 8 does also not work. 28 divided by 4 does, right? The reason why you do that is because you can't do like, you're not going to do 16 divided by 27, right? Or it should be 28, that's my bad. You're not going to do 16 divided by 28, right? Because that's not going to work. So the greatest common factor has to be like, it can't be bigger than the smallest number here, right? So that's kind of a trick for this, okay? So we're going to divide these both by 4. So let's go ahead and do that. We got 16 divided by 4 equals 4. And 28 divided by 4 equals 7. So our answer is going to be 4 over 7, okay? That's kind of a long explanation. If you have a quicker way to do that, I'll probably do the quicker way down here for number 3, but see if you guys can figure out these other two. Give it a try. All right, so greatest common factor here. What's the biggest thing that goes into 12 and 36? I think it's actually 12. We're going to divide these both by 12, okay? And again, you can list all the factors of 12. And so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. If you do 36 divided by 12, that actually works, right? It's going to be 3. Divide this, we get 3. And 12 divided by 12 is going to be 1. So 3 divided by 1 is going to be 3. That's kind of a trick one here to throw that in there, okay? All right. Sounds good. How about number 3? Okay, I'm going to do a shortcut now. This kind of divide by 12 thing over here is a little slow, so I'm just going to kind of like do some slashes here, okay? What number goes into 8 and 48 nicely? It's going to be 8. You can list the factors, but 8 goes into 8 how many times? 1. 8 goes into 48 how many times? 6. So we got, is it 6 over 1 or 1 over 6? It's going to be 1 over 6, okay? It's not 48 over 8, which would be, that'd be 6 over 1, right? Which equals 6. It's not this. It's going to be 1 over 6. Be careful where the bigger number is, okay? All right, sounds good. Let's keep moving here. How about multiplying fractions? Why don't you guys go ahead? It says, got some blanks here, see if you can fill them out. Why don't you guys try problem 1 down here, see if you can figure out how we multiply fractions. Go ahead. So we have multiplying fractions, no big problem. So fraction wrap. Top times top over, what do you think? Bottom times bottom. Okay. And we can also reduce or cancel. So what we're going to talk about next is vertically or diagonally before we multiply across. Sometimes it gets a little big. So we're going to do both of these, okay? So you can do vertically or diagonally, all right, before we multiply. Okay? So let's do example 1 now, all right? Unless you want to try it on your own, that'd be fine. Let's go through it here, okay? We're going to multiply straight across first. Let's do it the first way, okay? So we have 2 times 3. Top times top is 6. And then we have 5 times 6 is going to be 30. Now, if we reduce this, right, 6 goes into 6 1 time, 6 goes into 35 times. We get 1 over 5, okay? So that's method 1. All right, that's one way to do it, just multiply across. But before we do that, sometimes the numbers get pretty big, and it's actually nicer to kind of reduce before we do that, okay? So we can do some of this stuff before we actually multiply. So what can we do here? Well, we can reduce vertically or diagonally, all right? So if we go vertical here, 2 and 5 don't reduce, no numbers go into them. How about 3 and 6? Yeah, so 3 goes into 3 how many times? 1. 3 goes into 6 how many times? 2. My bad. So now we can see here what we have is we have 2 over 5 times 1 over 2. Okay? So we did that. We can also reduce diagonally. So we can't really do 1 and 5, but how about 2 and 2? What number goes into 2 and 2 nicely? Well, 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 2 once. So now we have, over here, we have 1 over 5 times 1 over 1, which equals 1 times 1 is going to be 1, 5 times 1 is going to be 5. So we got the same thing here. A few more steps. We still got 1/5. However, this may seem like a lot of extra steps, but sometimes with really big numbers, it actually is not too many steps. All right, sounds good. We got a few more down here. Why don't you guys go ahead and try these the way that you like, and go ahead and give them a try. All right, I'm going to do kind of the canceling way because it is kind of a good way to do it, I think, in my opinion, to be comfortable with. So let's do this here. So we got, let's see here. So 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 8 twice, 5 goes into 5, we got -1, we got 5 goes into 10 twice. So now we got -1 over 2 times 1 over 2. And multiply straight across, and we get -1 times 1 is -1. 2 times 2 is 4. We get -1 over 4. All right. Okay, how about number 3? So yeah, you can multiply across, but I'm going to do it the other same way again. So let's see here. Let's go diagonal this time. 2 goes into 2 1 time, 2 goes into 4 2 times. Let's see here, 8 and 14. Let's see here, number that goes into 8 and 14 is 2. 2 goes into 8 4 times. 2 goes into 14 7 times. Let's rewrite this now. I don't like to do too much stuff. We got 4 over 1 times 2 over 7. All right, now we can multiply straight across. So 4 times 2 is going to be 8. 1 times 7 is going to be 7. So why do we do the canceling here? Well, if we don't do the canceling, we're going to have 8 times 4 is 32 on top, right? And 2 times 14 is 28. They still have to reduce. This is just kind of harder numbers to figure out what the greatest common factor is going to be, okay? So it's not wrong. I just like to make things simple first, but not always. It kind of really depends, you know? And you guys will get there, be fluid with it. All right, now we're talking about dividing fractions. Very similar to multiplying. Why don't you guys see if you can figure out what we do for dividing fractions and fill in the blanks. Go ahead. All right, so it's dividing fractions, easy as pie. Flip the second and multiply. Or a lot of people use what's called keep, change, flip. You may have heard that before too. All right, so we're going to keep, change, flip, or we're going to flip the second to multiply. So 2/5 divided by 6/10 is going to be the same thing as 2/5. We're going to keep, and we're going to so change to multiplication and flip to 10 over 6. Okay, and then we're just going to do normal multiplication. Why don't you guys go ahead and multiply this? All right, so I'm going to reduce here. We got 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 6 3 times, 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 10 2 times. So we're going to get 1 times, I'm going to kind of zip ahead here a little bit. We got 1 times 2 is going to be 2, and 1 times 3 is going to be 3. And there's our answer. All right, why don't you guys go ahead 2 and 3 now. Give them a try. All right, so we got 8 thirds divided by -4/9. So we have 8 thirds times negative 9 over 4. Just flip it. Keep the negative in the top there. Let's reduce here. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 9 negative 3 times. 4 goes into 4 once. 4 goes into 8 2 times. So we have negative 2 times, or 2 times negative 3 is going to be negative 6 over 1 times 1 is 1, which equals negative 6. Okay. And again, if you multiply straight across, that'd be negative 72 over 12, which is, you can still do it that way. You got to reduce still, though. Okay. How about number 3? Keep, change, flip. 7 over 6 times 30 over 14. I purposely made them big numbers, so you do have to do some canceling here, but you can still do the long way if you want. 7 goes into 7 1 time. 7 goes into 14 2 times. 6 goes into 6 1 time. 6 goes into 35 times. So we got 1 times 5 is going to be 5. Over 1 times 2 is 2. All right. So you did the other way, it'd be a lot more, but still would work. Okay. All right. Adding and subtracting fractions. Why don't you guys go ahead and try 1 and 2 and see if you can do the blanks here. Go ahead. All right. So when adding up or taking away fractions, don't be a hater. Bottom numbers have to be the same common denominator. Okay. We need a common denominator. Okay. Common denominator. So what does that mean? Okay. Denominator is the top or the bottom? It's the bottom, so we need the bottom numbers to be the same, okay? If you guys want to try these again, now that we know what what we need to do, we'll go ahead and pause the video. So we need a common denominator. So a couple ways you can do this, right? You can just multiply by the opposite denominator, so we can do times 2 over here and times 3 over here, and do the same top and bottom. Or you can kind of list the things, the factors. We're looking for the least common multiples. We would go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We do 3, 6, 9, 12. We find the smallest number that divides by both, right? And so in this case, the smallest number that divides by both is going to be 6, okay? So you can list them out and do it that way, or you can just kind of just multiply by the opposite number. Okay? So 2 times 2 is going to be 4 over 6, plus 1 times 3 is 3 over 6. Now, do we add straight across, or do we just add the top? We just add the top, so 4 plus 3 is going to be 7. We get 7 over 6. All right. How about, yeah, and that's it. We're good. Can't reduce the 7 and 6. All right, how about number 2? Negative 5, 6 minus 2 over 12. Do we have a common denominator here? We do not. What's the smallest number that divides by both 6 and 12? It's actually going to be 12. So we're going to just multiply 6 by 2 here and here. So we get negative 10 over 2 times 5 over 12 minus 2 over 12. Okay. For subtracting, we do the same thing. We kind of just do the top. So negative 10 minus 2 is going to be negative 12. Keep the denominators the same, which is 12. And that's going to equal what? Negative 1. Very cool. All right, why don't you guys try a couple more? Try 3 and 4. See how you do. All right, number 3, we got 7 eighths minus 4 over 12. All right, kind of tricky here. So actually, the least common denominator, you can multiply by the opposite number. You can do this by 12, the 8 times 12, and the 12 times 8. But it's actually going to be 24 is the smallest number that divides by both. If you do like 8, 16, 24, 12, 24, right? If you list them out, kind of 12, 24, you can see 24 is the smallest number that divides by both, okay? So we're going to multiply 8 times 3 is 24, and 12 times 2 is 24. So 3 times 7 is 21 over 24, minus 4 times 2 is 8 over 24. 21 minus 8 is going to be 13, so we get 13 over 24. Can't reduce that because 13 is a prime number. Nothing else goes into 13 but 13 and 1. All right, how about number 4? We got 5 over 5 plus 1/4. What's the least common denominator? It's going to be 20, so we got 5 times 4. We got 4 times 5. 4 times 5 is going to be 20 over 20. 1 times 5 is 5. 5 over 20. 20 plus 5 is 25 over 20. And if we reduce this, a big number that goes into both of these is 5. So 5 goes into 25 5 times. 5 goes into 24 times. Oops, what happened there? Hopefully it's still recording. All right, yeah, sorry. Oh, some kind of template came up there. So we got 5/4 is going to be our answer. Okay, sounds good. That's all I have for you today. If you want to do extra practice, let Mr. Prosky know. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and we will talk soon.